This is a video for the first partial work, the VideoBlog, and the members of this team are Oscar, Diego, and me, Jetze, and we're going to talk about the idealism of Bertrand Russell, and well, let's go. Have you ever stopped to think about this? How do we know that the world around us actually exists independently of us? When I look at this table, I see its color, I feel its texture, and I hear the sound it makes when I tap it. But what I'm really experiencing are my perceptions. I never experienced the table itself directly, only how it appears to me. This idea leads to one of the most radical philosophical theories, that is the idealism. The idealism claims that reality is fundamentally mental, that objects exist only insofar as they are perceived. And in other words, to be is to be perceived. Today, we're going to see this idea and also defend the position of Bertrand Russell, who strongly criticized idealism. Our thesis is simple. Even though we only access the world through perception, it does not follow that reality depends on the mind.
Idealists say that everything we know comes through sense, data, colors, sounds, shapes, textures. Since these are mental experiences, they argue that physical objects must also be mental. After all, we never step outside our minds to verify them. At first, this sounds convincing, but Russell argues that this reasoning confuses the appearance of objects with the reality of them. In the Problems of Philosophy, he writes that common sense assures us that when we see the sun, there is a sun there, which we see. But this doesn't exactly come accord with other philosophers. What Russell is saying is that although our knowledge begins with perception, that does not mean the object depends on perception. Here is a counterargument. An idealist might respond that we can't prove the external world exists. Maybe everything is just a dream. But Russell actually agrees that, logically speaking, this is possible. He even says that there is no logical impossibility in the supposition that the whole of life is a dream. This was written by him in one of his books in around 1912 or and that time. However, and this is crucial, possibility is not the same as probability. The hypothesis that there is an external world explains why different people perceive the same objects, why science works, and why the world behaves consistently.
Okay, so now let's go deeper. Russell argues that idealism makes a second mistake. It confuses how we know something with what exists. Just because we know objects through mental experiences does not mean those objects are mental. For example, imagine taking a photo with your cell phone, with your iPad, wherever. The image appears on the screen. But the fact that you see it through a screen does not mean the object only exists inside the device. Similarly, the mind may be medium through which we experience reality. But that doesn't mean reality is created by the mind. Idealists like George Berkeley argued that matter is unnecessary and that everything consists of ideas sustained by perceiving mind. But Russell believes this explanation actually adds more assumptions instead of fewer. Instead of saying physical objects exist and cause our perceptions, idealists must assume invisible minds or divine perception to explain why the world is stable and shared. Russell realism is simple and more consistent with science. Objects exist and they cause our sense of that.
Now, in conclusion, idealism challenges us to question what we take for granted.
It reminds us that all knowledge begins in perception.
But, as Russell shows, perception does not create reality. It reveals it.
So, even if we cannot achieve absolute certainty,
The existence of an external world remains the best explanation for our shared experience.
And without that assumption, science, communication, and even daily life will collapse.
so we conclude that while our access to reality is mediated by the mind, reality itself does not depend on the mind.
Thank you for
Thank you
your
for your
attention.
invitation.